Ben Johnson, Ryan Poles, they spoke at Halas Hall yesterday. There was also a practice. Let's talk about all of that right now. Ben, over to your right. What the was that? What's up, Bears fans? People want to hear me talk. What's going on, Bears fans, and welcome to another episode of the Nicholas Moreano Show. I am your host, Nicholas Moreano. Make sure to like, subscribe, leave a comment, and of course, share this YouTube channel with your fellow Bears fans. As always, this episode of the Nicholas Moreano Show is sponsored by Triumph Drinks, the hydrogen-infused electrolyte that helps fight fatigue, supports muscle recovery, and promotes overall wellness with the power of molecular hydrogen. Zero sugar, zero artificial ingredients. It's clean, effective hydration without the sugar or crash. Use the code NICK, N-I-C-K, to get 10% off your order. Every purchase with that code not only helps the show grow, but keeps the content coming your way. Triumph donates a portion of every sale to mental health charities. Add the winning element to your daily grind at triumphdrinks.com. All right, guys, it was a busy day at Halas Hall on Tuesday. Ryan Poles, Ben Johnson. There was a practice that happened as well. So I'm going to get into all of that right now. And also, I have some words for a few Bears fans on social media. Little soft, not going to lie. Little soft, but I'll get into that in a little bit. But let's start here with Ben Johnson, his press conference. He spoke before the Bears practice and also before the 53-man roster was finalized. And just some of the top takeaways for me, just listening to him speak on the team and, the status of his unit going forward into week one against the Minnesota Vikings. I think the first thing that really was asked about and talked about was Jalen Johnson, whether or not he's going to be ready for week one. And the same rhetoric has been said up to this point. And when Jalen Johnson was first, injured, it's like the plan is to have him ready for week one. That's the target date. And then as there was a third question asked about Jalen Johnson's status, specifically the injury, Ben referred to Ryan, in which I'll get to in a little bit. But that's obviously something that the Bears are going to be hopeful for, that Jalen Johnson can be on the field. But Ryan says more about it in his press conference. So I'm going to kind of pivot from Jalen Johnson to what I thought is another main takeaway from Ben Johnson was just still his evaluation of Friday's preseason performance against the Kansas City Chiefs. And especially that first team unit starting off slow. He called it disappointing after the game. And, what he felt after the game was also how he felt on Tuesday afternoon when he was asked about it. And I think when really you're thinking about that game and just the slow start, like you could see that it bothers Ben. No doubt it bothers Ben. And it's because he's very detailed, wants things run a certain way. And when you have a mishandled handoff on a jet sweep the first play, you have a false start penalty on the very next play. You go, 3 plays, punt. 6 plays later, punt. You get a field goal on that next drive against the Kansas City Chiefs stars, and then you finally score a touchdown against backups. Like, it wasn't how Ben Johnson wanted that performance to go. And so I think that eats away at him when he sees his product, what he knows his offense can look like, not perform anywhere near what it should be looking like. I think that does eat away at him. And that's why he wants to get things addressed, fixed, and just ready for the week one game against the Minnesota Vikings. And he was also asked, Ben, about like the slow start and if it's an energy thing, and specifically like, can Caleb do anything better? And Ben Johnson really said it's about everybody. It's not just about the quarterback. But I liked his quote saying that we like to talk about it. If we get 70 plays in a game, those are 70 bullets for us to shoot off, and we need each one to count. We can't be missing. We can't be wasting. That's a mantra that we've been talking about as coaches, and the players have really taken to that. Just that awareness level that there are no breather plays in this league. Each thing is really important. The details are really important. And I think it's going to add up and we'll be just fine. Again, the sense of urgency. There are no breather plays in this league. 70 bullets. Make sure you're firing and hitting on those plays. I mean, Ben Johnson's saying all the right words right now, but we do need to see that start playing out in these practices and obviously during the course of the season. But he just was not ready or not liking what he saw from that first team unit against Kansas City. And I get it because when I watched the film too, I didn't like it either. It's just there's going to be obviously more game playing that goes into now each specific opponent. And then when a bigger thing too is like now that you're able to condense this playbook to specific matchups, that's going to help too because everything was on the table for what the Bears can run in these practices and training camp, and that's why you're seeing I think a lot of the pre-snap penalties and misalignments, things of that nature. But now when you're going into specific matchups, really game planning, that should help. It really should help the Bears to focus in on what the objective is for that game that week, and then hopefully just make sure that everything looks a lot more polished than what it has been throughout training camp in the preseason. Ben was not ready to name a starting left tackle for week one. Just not ready to talk about the starters yet. But he did say on the left tackle, I think we're going to have a starter week one, and we'll go from there. And he also said, and this is what he also said. I said a few weeks ago, we feel good about the guys we have in that room. Someone's going to take the bull by the horns and is going to completely take over. But we're not afraid to make a change if the performance isn't where it needs to be. We'll make that decision going into next week. I'm sure you guys, media, will have a good idea of who our stars will be going into Minnesota. I, you know, I l- I think I like that comment where we're not going to be afraid to make a change, but if you want a guy to take the bull by the horns and be that solidified left the starter at left tackle, it I guess it shouldn't be that easy to just take somebody out and make that change. But the Bears are just not in a position with the group that they have, even though foreshadowing Ryan Poles said he likes the group, that there is somebody that is just gonna dominant left tackle starter, no questions asked. Like even putting it out there that you're not gonna be afraid to make a change shows that whoever is the front runner at this point, the leash is short. So we'll see how that actually plays out. I fully expect Braxton Jones to be the week one starter, but how long? And is that Theo Benedict's job just right after that? Ozzy's been on the right side. So like I said, it will be fascinating to watch how that plays out. And you know what I'm gonna do here? I'm gonna talk about this one question about the penalty problems. Then I'm gonna go into the practice and then get to Ryan Poles because I think that makes the most sense for this podcast. For this, it's gonna be a shorter episode. But let's actually go the last question and then back to the penalties. That'll make the easiest transition here. Ryan Poles, Ben Johnson was asked about Caleb Williams and what makes him dangerous in the 2-minute drill. And what Ben said is that he just where he feels most natural. I think that's over the course of high school, college, and now pros. That's probably where he's accumulated the most number of snaps. So naturally, that's where he thrives. He feels pretty good being on the ball, no huddle, tempo type plays. He's got a flair for the dramatic. He understands situations. He knows where he needs to break the pocket and extend when he's doing a great job right now, understanding when to check the ball down, let our guys run after the catch a little bit. I just think it's been an accumulation of reps over the course of his lifetime. And I think you see that from Caleb Williams, even in the games that the Bears lost last year, Washington, Minnesota, just some of those performances. Like Caleb led some 2-minute drives. Bears didn't end up winning, but he did lead them in position to have a chance to win, but in crunch time, Caleb was coming up big in some of those moments. Even in the preseason game against Kansas City, getting that opportunity for a 2-minute drive. Granted, against Chiefs backups, but still showing that he can operate when it's quicker paced. Maybe not being in a huddle as long feels more natural. I just wonder if that's just that. I think that has to be a part of what Ben Johnson implements more of in Chicago than maybe what he had done in Detroit. To me, that just makes sense. So that's where he sees him thrive. And so when we get into these situations during the course of the season, 2 minute, I do expect Caleb to perform well, and be just be a gamer, right? That's where I think you see more of those plays break from structure, and then you have to go just make a play. And I think Caleb has shown that for the most part he can handle those situations. And then let's do this, because I don't anticipate this show being as long as some of the normal ones here. Let's take a quick break. We're going to talk about some of these penalties, pre-snap penalties. Again, some of you Bears fans on Twitter, I have the receipts here, coming after you slightly. But really quickly, I have to tell everybody about my friends at Windy City Sports Cards. They specialize in buying and selling all things related to Chicago sports, whether you're a diehard fan, Bears, Bulls, Cubs, White Sox, or Blackhawks. They've got you covered, everybody, with an extensive selection of sports memorabilia and collectibles. In addition to the Chicago focused items, they also offer a vast collection of sports trading cards and memorabilia from your favorite teams and players. Visit their online store to find exactly what you're looking for to complete your collection or to discover a new favorite. Check them out at 312 WindyCitySportsCards.com. That's 312 WindyCitySportsCards.com. And told you at the top about Triumph drinks. Well, this video is powered by Triumph, the hydrogen infused electrolyte drink that keeps you going strong. Get 10% off by using the code NICK, NICK. It helps support more Bears breakdowns every single week. All right, everybody. Nicholas Moriano Show. Like, subscribe, leave a comment, share this Bears YouTube channel with a fellow Bears fan. Second to last question that Ben Johnson got asked here, and then we're going to get into this practice really quickly. Is he concerned with the penalty problem, the pre-snap penalties? Here's what Ben Johnson said. I am disappointed that they've lingered on for as long as they have. That's something that we've addressed. We've talked about. Do I think it's going to be a recurring theme over the course of the season? No, I don't. We have a plan in place for how we can eliminate these things, and we'll go with that going forward. Okay. Not concerned, has a plan in place. Let's see the plan start taking shape. This first practice, you guys, Tuesday's practice, again, Ben spoke before the practice, so we got a chance to watch the entire practice on, Tuesday. And you're seeing more of the pre-snap penalties. Darnell Wright, early on in the practice during the team period, commits a false start. Bam. Ben just yanks him. Ozzie Trapillo in with the first team offense at right tackle. A few plays later, you see Caleb throw an interception over the middle of the field to Jaquan Brisker. There were some misalignment issues happening where the pass catchers to one side were just not in the place they needed to be, it looked like. Rehuddle. There was another false start by Darnell Wright later on in the practice. He stayed in after that, but you're just starting to see these things still accumulate here. And this is, Ben just said we have a plan in place. We're trying to eliminate these things. And then the very next practice, you have this, and the Bears are not in pads. I don't know if that doesn't do anything in terms of the pre-snap penalties, but it still is a work in progress. And someone on the defense, what did they shout? Actually, here we go. I have my notes here. Get that blank right, offense. I'd rather not swear on the YouTube channel, whatever. But yeah, you need to get this stuff right. And I just don't know how long that's going to take. And I'm going to see if I can, find this really quickly. But Dan Rochar, he spoke to the media Not too long ago. I mean, actually, maybe it was a month ago at this point now. But I wasn't there at the practice or at the availability. But my colleague at Marquee Sports, Scott Bear, was, and I know he was telling me that right now this Bears offense, this offensive line, has been a little bit more reactionary than going out and being violent, making these blocks. And I'm trying to see if I can find the story. We have so much written content at Marquee Sports Network.com. So you guys should definitely check it out. But I'm when I'm what I'm trying to get at is like specifically with Darnell Wright, because he was also beat pretty badly on a rep by Montez Sweat around the edge. And I just wonder if right now, for a guy like that, a top 10 pick at right tackle, if he is him and maybe some of the other members on the offensive line just being very reactionary, not firing off the ball because they're still learning cadence. They're still learning the offense in general. And so that's having them play more passive than aggressive. And that's a problem for an offensive line, for an entire unit, because that's going to obviously impact everybody. Man, there's so many stories down here. I don't even know if I passed it already or what's going on here, but I think I don't know. I feel like I've just been seeing that from a guy like Darnell Wright, who I think is better than what he's shown just in some of these practices, and getting beat as bad as he did by Montez Sweat on a rep. Again, no pad, so it doesn't help Darnell by any means, but it just actually maybe this is I may have found the article, but we'll see if I kind of skim through this really quick. Maybe not. Maybe it's not here. Um, oh well. Well, that was just my guy Scott Barrett telling me that's kind of what the paraphrasing of what Dan Rochard was saying, that at that point in time the offensive line was more reactionary. And you don't want to have that from your offensive line. But then when you see the practice happen, again, false start penalties after Ben was just saying we have a plan to clean it up, it's just an issue. It is an issue. There was a couple of plays too where Caleb threw the ball and like nobody was there. I have in my notes an ineligible man downfield on a throw to DJ Moore. Komet, I had a nice catch on one of the plays, I believe just a crossing route. Tyreek Stevenson had a nice PBU on DJ Moore, back right corner on a kind of a fade route. Touchdown to Rome, high and away. Noah Sewell's in coverage. Really nice play by Rome, showing off the hands. He also had a play down the right sideline where we can hear exactly what Rome said. Basically telling Kevin Byard, no way that this isn't a touchdown, because I think the ref had ruled him down short of the end zone. But the angle that Kevin Byard had, Rome doesn't feel like he would have taken him down based off of his what he said on the field. I know he kind of backtracked the comments a little bit in his press conference, saying nobody else can make that play except for Kevin Byard. And so there's a nice throw over there. I had Caleb Williams completion to Olamide Zaccheaus on the right side, a nice completion to DJ Moore in an in-breaking route. Um, Caleb also hit Roma Dunze on a drag going to the left side. Then there were some plays from the defense where you had some pressure off that right edge, where I don't know if the Bears were just bringing more than what the Bears could handle. The Bears are bringing more than the Bears can handle. The defense is bringing more than what the offense can handle. And, there's a play where Elijah Hicks would have smacked Caleb. But of course, he's not going to. He's going to get the ball off. You had that happen again, Nick McLeod. But Caleb was able to complete a pass to Jahadi Walker. Congratulations to him making the 53. I didn't think he would, not because of his play specifically, just because, there's a lot of players that take advantage of the preseason and they don't make rosters. But, all day Jade, as Roma Dunze said in his press conference yesterday. It's a guy that's worked really hard to get in the position that he is and ends up making the team. Had another completion to Cole Komet, and then Darnell Wright beat by Montez. So again, not the most polished practice still at this point in Minnesota. They're coming up, man. It's going to be a tough team, tough tough team to play against for your first matchup in a new offense. But Ben Johnson's had a lot of success against Brian Flores in Minnesota. So maybe that helps. And I'm hoping that it helps because it could be a long day if you have the pre-snap penalties, alignment issues, and then a Brian Flores led defense. So we'll see how it all plays out. And then actually, really quickly, before we get into Ryan Poles, some of you Bears fans, and not this, if this doesn't pertain to you, it doesn't pertain to you. But soft. All right? Just soft, man. So, and why I'm saying this, like what's going on here? Here's what's going on. During Bears practice, there are certain periods of the practice, usually very early on, where you're allowed to film, take pictures, and do whatever you want with them. Okay. So during the open portion of practice that you're allowed to film, the Bears are practicing their lateral type of play. Not even a play, they're just practicing lateraling the ball. So Roman Dunze runs a slant, catches it from Caleb, laterals the ball to DeAndre Swift, and boom. And the Bears had only one running back available, DeAndre Swift. So it was literally Rome ran the rep a second time, caught the slant, and then Tyson Bagent's coming out of the backfield, getting it. Posted that on Twitter. And my God, like it was funny seeing the reaction from some people, not all of them, but I'll just read. I was going to put them on here, but it's so small, the fun and everything, that it wasn't worth it. So I ended up deleting the video only because you have to delete videos from practice 24 hours later. And I just decided to do it this morning because I probably would forget about it later in the day. So it's no longer there. But of course, I took a screenshot of the comments. My goodness, dude. We have Ethan Schultz. Delete this, please. Go ahead and mute this guy too, Bears Twitter. His journalism is trash. Just looking for attention. All right, Ethan. Let's see. We also have, I don't think we should be showing this crying emoji. Don't be showing that. Why are you posting this? Delete this. Delete this. I feel like we shouldn't be putting this on Twitter. Then you have Shy City Bears Forum. Chicago Bears might want to keep this guy out of practice. Hilarious. And again, it's soft, fragile. Come on, it's a lateral play, and you guys are worrying that it's going to tip off the other team. Or Ben Johnson's he's openly talked about this. The Detroit Lions have put that on film. So you think a rep where it's only quarterbacks, one receiver, and a running back just practicing it is going to tip off another team off of my Twitter? Guys, stop being so scared. Again, this applies to the people that were in the comments worrying about this. There are other people like, oh, look at this. This is cool. This is, like they're practicing this rep. Don't be those guys. It's just, it's crazy to think that, again, you really believe that's going to be a deciding factor. Just stop. But I had to get that off. We're done with it. Let's get to Ryan Poles really quickly. And if you want to get like the written version of this, I wrote my top 4 takeaways from Ryan Poles' press conference after Tuesday's Bears practice. So what I had, and what I didn't put in my top 4 takeaways, and I probably should have made it a 5th one, was just the whole Zay Frazier commentary, I guess, from Ryan Poles, and I'm trying to find the exact quoting here. Let's see. Looking down. Okay, here we go. So then for Zay Frazier, this is from Ryan Poles. Then for Zay Frazier, a little bit of a complicated deal because he's going to go on NFI. He has a situation that presented itself in a category that is, I would say, personal. As we dug into it, try to help him out, it revealed itself as something that happened before he got here. Credit to our staff, found the root cause of what he was going through. So he'll be down for the year, but he'll spend the time going to meetings in the weight room and with the medical staff preparing for next season to get ready to play. Kind of a bummer on the front end, but I think because of everyone's hard work and care here, we got him on the right path. That is look, I feel like Ryan Pohl's always been pretty straightforward with us, as much as he can be. But I just don't. What is this? And I'm not going to be here to speculate anything because I haven't heard anything um, to put out there. But it is interesting that they found something that apparently happened before he got to Halas Hall and are still working with him to put him on the right path to be ready to play next season. And for Zay Frazier, he is an older rookie, a guy that was a 1-year starter at UTSA, his final season. So it's not the greatest to have an older guy, especially when you're in need of cornerbacks right now. Terrell Smith is down. Jalen Johnson's still dealing with his injury. Josh Blackwell, Kyler Gordon, like all these guys. And it's just it's interesting. It's an interesting situation, and it's unfortunate for Zay, unfortunate for the Bears, unfortunate for people that wanted to see him out there because he does. I mean, his body type is different at the cornerback position, but yet we're not going to see him all year. He'll at least be around the team, which is definitely helpful. But Ben Johnson said it best: like nothing replicates padded practices, being out on the football field. And I think Ryan Poles also reiterated those words as well. So it's again unfortunate. Let's go back to speaking of cornerbacks, Jalen Johnson, that update. So what Ryan Poles did reveal here is that he had a pretty good soft tissue injury and nothing really else. It was a pretty good soft tissue injury, as he said. And the Bears are taking like this daily approach with Johnson as he works back, but there has been gradual progress, according to polls, saying that when he was going out to practice, he saw him running, doing agility work. So he feels like he's getting better. But is the conditioning a legitimate concern? And polls said, yeah, definitely. It's something to monitor. And like I was just saying, you can't replicate on field, in pads practices by just conditioning. You need to be out there to get callous. And obviously, Jalen Johnson's not had an opportunity to do that at this point with his injury. But when he was asked, will he be ready for week 1? Ryan Poles said we're pushing for it. But it's that fine line of making sure that we're smart with it being the injury. So there's Jalen Johnson. Let's go to the O-line, too. That was another big topic of discussion, whether it was about left tackles or just everybody. The Bears kept 10 offensive linemen on the 53-man active roster, and Poles says he feels really good about that position right now, and that includes the left tackle position. He also said that there was always going to be projection with the left tackles because he had Braxton coming back from injury. He had Ozzie Trapillo going from right tackle to left tackle to ultimately going back to right tackle. You had Theo Benedict just continuing his overall development, being an undrafted guy, playing in Canada, and now maybe cementing himself as the number 2 left tackle behind Braxton Jones. But he said he felt that they all got better over time and that there is room that offers versatility with swing tackles, position flexibility, things like that. He also, Ryan Poles, was asked about Karan Amagaji and asked if he was playing inside, and he has started to practice inside at guard. And apparently there was a practice where this started happening. Again, I haven't been to all these training camp practices, so I can't speak to that actually happening because I wasn't there. But I know some of the reporters, you know, after these press conferences were also wondering, like, when did he get there the entire time practicing at a guard position? Because none of us can really highlight, oh, this is the practice that Karan Amagaji started to switch to inside. But Ryan Poles said he actually looked pretty good. So he'll continue to work on his versatility. We know he can do some left and right, but playing inside is going to be big too. There's Karan Amagaji. Really quick, he only got one question about the Caleb Williams and his progress, and he liked that there was a lot put on his plate early on, just throwing the entire offense at him, seeing what he can handle because Poles feels that if you get all this knowledge, I guess, thrown at you and you can handle it now and still go through your ups and downs, which Poles acknowledge, then later on it's going to be, easier or more efficient to go through again these week by week game plans as opposed to Ben Johnson's entire offense. But he, like I say, believes all the information Williams was given about the playbook should benefit his development. These are my words in my writing. As the team prepares for weekly matchups, that playbook will become condensed, allowing Williams and the rest of the offense to focus solely on the opponent for that week. So there we go. And then running back health was another big topic of discussion. Like I said earlier, in this practice on Tuesday, DeAndre Swift was your back. You even had some of the Bears staff members, coaches lining up in the backfield and just drills. Not in actual like practice, of course, but in the drills. Um, but Poles did highlight that could change in terms of who's available with Roshan Johnson and rookie Kyle Monangai recovering from injuries. Uh, Poles said their timelines, they feel good about their timelines, talking about Johnson and Monangai. Kyle's coming along. Like I said, over the next few days, you'll probably see the practice field look a little different. I've got a lot of faith those guys will be ready to go. If they're not, we'll still look out and see if there's guys that can help us. Like I said, with Ben's creativity, who knows who'll be lined up back there. We have seen DJ Moore line up in the backfield. He got a handoff in this Tuesday practice. He's been getting handoffs. That's going to be more of it. It's not going to be, I think, it's going to be reoccurring, but it's going to be very sparingly, I would say. I don't think they have the full intention of DJ Moore just carrying the workload back there. Like, this is why you have running backs. Well, we'll get running backs back in the Bears case, but yeah, it's DJ Moore. I think is gonna have certain packages, but nothing to get carried away with here. Carried. Uh, and then with DeAndre Swift, it's been glowing remarks from Ben Johnson, Ryan Poles about him and just his running style and how he's like been able to be a spark, as Ben Johnson said in his press conference, for an offense when they have lulls. But Ryan Poles likes what he's seen out of the elusive runner. I thought he was very decisive in getting downhill, getting positive gains. There wasn't as much dancing with negative rushes, which is going to be big for us to stay on par with the chains and stay with positive gains there. I feel like there's been improvement, which he gives a lot of credit to Eric Bieniemy. You don't have too much room other than to do the right thing with EB. That is for sure. So he's going to keep working with those guys to get better. And then, yeah. So I mean, again, that's positive remarks from a GM. Head coach has said some positive things about DeAndre too. And one more thing on the running backs, Travis Homer, he was placed on injured reserve and designated to return. So he's going to miss at least the first 4 weeks of the season with what he's dealing with. So, but yeah, I mean, that's really the main takeaways from what happened on Tuesday, what happened in Tuesday's practice. And now the Bears, I mean, Ben Johnson said this week is still all about them and next week will be Minnesota, but obviously they're preparing for Minnesota now. They probably have been for weeks. Just little things here and there. So what I really need to see from this offense is just the pre-snap penalties start to become eliminated, as Ben Johnson said. Because he can't be behind the chains against a Brian Flores defense. That makes everything a lot more difficult for any quarterback in the league, especially Caleb Williams in a new offense with a first-year head coach. All that, factors in. But we need to see that get corrected. Need to see guys become healthy, get on the football field again, and then we can start to see how this will shape here. And then also, too, the 53-man roster was set, but I still expect moves to be made. Like, I wouldn't be surprised if another pass rusher is maybe brought in. I wouldn't be surprised if another running back is brought in just to help this group and what it currently stands and looks like at this moment in time. But guys, that's going to do it for this episode of the Nicholas Moriano Show. Appreciate everyone for tuning in, hanging out. Just, any feedback, please let me know in the comments. How are you feeling about Minnesota? You feeling confident about it? Let me know in the comments here. If you're you won, or did you like all the moves that the Bears made on the 53? Which one would you maybe change? Let me know, and I'll get back to you in the next episode, or even reply back in the comments. And for the people who are worried about lateral videos, let's take it down a notch. It's gonna be all right. It's gonna be all right. But hey, appreciate everyone for tuning in, hanging out. I'll catch you guys next time. But until then, bear down, Chicago. Bend over to your right. What the was that?
What's up, Bears fans? People want to hear me talk.